Ever feel like you're doing this teaching thing alone? You don't have to be. Shared teaching is all about sharing the workload through the power of collaboration and teamwork. Together, we'll walk through all the difficult parts of teaching and learn how to streamline our processes, fine-tune our time management, and develop a more manageable workload. If that sounds like a dream come true to you, then welcome to the Shared Teaching Podcast. Let's share in the teaching to make those dreams a reality. Now here's today's Shared Teaching. Hello and welcome back to the Shared Teaching Podcast. I'm your host, Susan, and you are listening to episode 163. We're going to talk about writing instruction reflections to improve for the next year. Okay, so if you have followed me for a little while, you know I took a little break, so I'm back now. It's summer. I feel a little bit more refreshed, even though I can't believe it's summer. I'm not really in summer mode just quite yet, but hopefully I am back on track to continue to bring you weekly podcast episodes, and some weeks I will have a bonus episode. I'm also going to be speaking at the Educate and Rejuvenate Summer Conference this summer, starting July 15th and 16th. It is a $5 experience that you will not want to miss. There's going to be tons of great speakers, including yours truly, and it's just $5. So if you want more information, I will have it linked in the show notes. You can also go to bit.ly/capital E, capital R, lowercase CONF, bit.ly/ERConf. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's talk about writing reflections. So I have a freebie. I don't know if you know this or not, but my freebie is all about planning your writing units, and one of the pages in my freebie that I really enjoy is a very quick little grid to reflect on your unit. So you decide whether it was amazing, it needs to be tweaked, it flopped, but you can recover it, or it was just a dumpster fire. So when you sit down to reflect, it doesn't have to be a huge, big thing. It could just be a couple of minutes long. And really what you're doing is you're just trying to get a good head start on what can change for the following year or what you like and that you want to keep the same. So, of course, that's the purpose of our reflection, right? Anytime you reflect on anything, that's usually the purpose, is to change or adapt or just keep things the same, because if it's not broken, we don't want to spend time fixing it, right? Because then we really will have something that's broken. So, why do we want to reflect? Well, obviously we're going to work on what worked and didn't work for us, and it's going to give us purpose going into the next year, and we really want to have purpose, right? We don't want to just go in, I was going to say some words I can't say, because I try to keep this with clean language. But we want to go into the next year feeling confident, knowing exactly what we want to do. We want things planned out. Now, that doesn't mean to say there isn't some wiggle room, because things always happen in the world of teaching where you have to constantly change things, right? But we want to at least know where we're heading. And then the last reason why we want to reflect on our writing instruction is that it prevents burnout. It gives us clarity and confidence, because when we have that clarity, we're going to have less behaviors to manage because we know exactly what we want to do. We know exactly what we want our students to accomplish, and we're not giving all that downtime to our students, and things aren't, making a ton of nonsense. Like, things go together, it makes sense, you're confident, you know what to do, then you can have the students be better managed in a sense. In theory, I know lately some of the behaviors are crazy. That's a whole nother episode. Okay, so let's talk about what we should reflect on. First are our mini lessons. I love a good writing mini lesson, and mini lessons, I've talked about this before, really need to be mini. And I'll also talk about it this summer. the Educate and Rejuvenate Conference. So were your mini lessons clear and focused? Just overall majority of them. You want to think about yes or no. Were the students engaged? Yes or no. If you answered no, they're not clear and focused, well, why not? What made them unfocused or not very clear? Did you have more than one thing you talked about within the mini lesson? If so, you're going to want to visit my freebie and download that, because I talk all about how to plan out your units with specific focus to what a mini lesson should have. And then, were the students engaged? Well, if they're not, did you have a piece that helps them become engaged? So I like to do the I do, we do, you do format. So the we do is very important there. You have to think, are they engaged? Are they doing something? Is it as simple as a thumbs up, thumbs down? Are they writing on whiteboards? Are they talking to a neighbor? Are they having a paper out at the same time you are and they're doing it at the same time you are? Like, what is the activity piece? What are they physically doing while you're talking, while you're going through these lessons? Keep them engaged. So reflect on whether they were or not. Next is their independent writing time. Now, I know a lot of our writing blocks are not the ideal length of time because of everything else is going on, but hopefully you're able to have at least a good 15 to 20 minutes of solid time where the students are just writing for writing's sake, right? You're following the mini lesson, you release them, they're writing on whatever that skill, they're practicing, they're tuned in, they're writing something. So you want to think during independent writing time, were your students productive? Were they on task? Were they doing what was expected of them? Were they working towards an independent goal? Were they building stamina? If they are not doing these things, then again, you're going to reflect on why not. What is preventing them from being productive? Are they just not sure what the task is when they're released to independent writing time? Maybe you need to build in a couple of mini lessons that go through and talk about what it means to be productive during independent writing time. Again, we spell things out for our students, even if we think it's the simplest thing ever, right? Like how to sharpen a pencil. I've heard so many teachers in Facebook groups that talk about their broken pencil sharpeners. So either you stop letting the kids use the pencil sharpener or you talk to them exactly how to sharpen a pencil. And I mean very explicitly, like, okay, I'm going to put my pencil in. I'm going to hold it in. I'm not going to push it too far. I'm just going to push it in just enough until it's at this point, and I'm going to hold it there and I'm going to count to 3 slowly, or maybe I'm going to say A, B, C, I'm done. Have a little phrase, something, then I pull out my pencil and I'm going to look at it. Like, be very explicit, right? So during independent writing time, are you very explicit with what you are expecting them to do with their time? Are you talking about we are not doing these things, but we are doing these things? And then building stamina. Did you give them enough time when you started independent writing time to start building that stamina? If you have 20 minutes to write at the beginning of the school year, you are not giving them the full 20 minutes, right? You are breaking it down. You start with 5 minutes. If they're very successful, you add 1 minute. If they're successful, you add 1 more minute until you build up to those full 20 minutes, which means in the beginning of the school year, have something else ready that's going to take up the remainder of the time, but don't fill that time with another subject or something else, because you'll never get that extra 20 minutes of writing time back, if that makes sense, right? We're not going to fill it with something that's like word work or our phonics, because we need to have those things. We're going to fill it with something maybe like extra writing center or a center rotation that's not going to be detrimental if I take it away later, right? Okay. Next, during independent writing time, did you have enough time to do a conference or two with students as the other students are independently writing? If not, then again, you're going to reflect on why not. What is keeping you from getting to conferences? Or what is keeping you from doing more than one kid for conferences? Maybe you need to look at the way you're doing conferences. Are you doing them too long? Can you pull some together and do a group if they all have the same writing goal that they're working towards, or the same things that you've noticed they need to work on? Can we conference multiple kids at one time? Or do I have a 2-minute touch point? How can I streamline my process to make it quicker if I'm not getting to enough students or the conference itself is taking too long? All right, the third thing we want to reflect on is student growth and writing samples. So we want to make sure we are taking those writing samples, just like math, just like reading. We will need some kind of assessment as we go. We don't want to just wing it here, even though it's writing, and writing doesn't generally have the same level of stature as our other core subjects. We want to treat it as important because our students will also feel it's important. And it really is, because you use writing in everything and all the other subjects. So it is important. So when you're thinking of your student growth and writing samples, you want to take some kind of pre-assessment and post-assessment and then look at it. Do you see any progress from the beginning to the end? If they're just putting it in their writing notebook, that's fine, but you need to pull and look at those writing notebooks. Maybe you do 5 a week until you get to the whole class, and you take one day where that is what you're doing during your prep period. You're just looking at their writing notebooks. You're making notes on the progression. Okay? And then we want to look at what skills are students still struggling with. We made it to the end of the year. We want to look at those beginning of the year samples and the end of the year samples. Are there things that they still struggled with? Do they still struggle with putting periods in the right spot? Do they struggle with putting not enough space or maybe too much space between their words? What are the issues that these students are struggling with it? Are they just not understanding what opinion writing is, or they don't understand the difference between narrative and opinion? Do we need to do a little bit more background, or maybe do some more read alouds that will help reinforce the idea that this is an opinion, this is a narrative? What are they struggling with? And then the fourth thing that we want to go over when we're reflecting is our planning and our management. So, were you consistent? And be honest with yourself here. Did you have a consistent writing time? Was your writing block consistent? Was the way you formatted your lessons consistent? Were you consistent with your expectations? And then did you have systems in place? Did the systems save you time, or did the systems add stress to you? Okay, so you can either use my free download with the writing unit plans. I think it's called Plan Your Writing Units Easily, and I'll link it in the show notes. And it's just a very quick little guide, but one of the very last pages gives you that little tic-tac-toe board so you can do your quick reflections. And all I'm asking for here, because it's at the end of the year, we're tired, right? Don't forget to reflect on these things before you wrap up your year, because once your summer hits, teacher brain's going to go off if you're anything like a lot of us, right? We just need to decompress. So get those reflections done and then take your well-deserved break, whatever that may look like for you. Okay, so now that we've gone through those reflections, I'm going to go over them one more time. We're going to reflect on 4 key areas: mini lessons, independent writing time, student growth and writing samples, and then our planning and management systems, those 4 things. And if you're not sure, you're having a hard time following, there is a blog post linked with this podcast episode, or there will be very soon once I release it. And you can always go back to the podcast episodes and click the link to go to sharedteaching.com, and you can read it. And I know I'm a very visual person, so I like to see things in front of me, even if I'm listening to a podcast. Sometimes I either need to make notes or I need to go back and look at something for it to resonate. So I always have a podcast episode I always have a blog post episode with my podcast episodes, and vice versa. Okay, at least moving forward from the last 3 or 4 years. All right, so next thing we want to do once we've reflected on those 4 key areas is we are going to make a keep, change, or toss list, right? So we are thinking about what we want to keep. So if we're keeping it, it is something that has energized you, it worked really well, you were very happy with it. If I want to change it, it was confusing, or it was complicated, or it doesn't resonate with my class, like they just didn't understand it. They couldn't figure it out after multiple times of repeating myself and trying to do the structure and the routines. So I'm going to change something. And then toss is it just didn't align with either my goals or the student needs. Maybe it's something that is better for an older grade or a younger grade, or sometimes it's just that class, right? Maybe you can try it again with another class. So keep, toss, and change, very similar to if you're cleaning out your closet. And we are going to think small and just make 1 or 2 small adjustments that are going to make a big impact, because we don't want to make huge changes and then not know if some of those changes we made were the right changes, if that makes sense. So make those changes small and gradual, and then we can make other changes if those are going successful. Okay, so for next year, you want to reflect and plan ahead. We're going to set just 1 to 2 realistic goals for your next year's writing block. So if you said you struggled with your mini lessons, maybe your goal next year is to make your mini lessons stay focused and stay on target. One of the ways you can do that is, if you are a 2nd grade teacher, is to pick up my already done for you writing units. I should have, by the end of the summer, all 3 of them out. Right now I have opinion writing in my store. The narrative is personal and fiction narratives together in one giant unit, I guess you could say. I like to break it apart and teach the personal narratives at the beginning of the year and the fictional narratives at the end of the year, so I'm kind of spiraling back to the narratives. That is very close to being done and should be done here very soon, but I can't promise anything, because every time I promise something, some life happens and something comes up and bites me, and then I just don't get it done. But I do have all my units. I have taught them in my own 2nd grade classrooms for several years, since COVID actually. I have created these units, and they are sitting on my computer, and they are done enough for me to teach them to my class, but not done enough that you understand how to teach them to your class, if that makes sense. I've been saying that phrase a lot on this podcast. I'm very sorry. Trying to get back in the swing of doing things. But by the end of the summer, my goal is to have all 3 units out and done, and it is semi-scripted, which means you do not have to verbatim, word by word, say everything that I say. I just give you bullet point examples of what I usually say on the particular slides. There are slides that you just project to your class, and it has anchor charts, vocabulary, assignments, share time. Everything is in there in one fell swoop, particular for 2nd grade. No mess, no fuss. Your mini lessons done for you, focused on one thing. So you're going to set a realistic goal for your next year's writing block. You're going to decide on one new thing to try. Did you not like the writing folders, or you didn't try the writing folders, or you tried a writing notebook, but you didn't like the writing notebook? Maybe you're going to try to figure a better mini lesson structure. Pick one new thing to try. Set 1 or 2 realistic goals, and then you are going to create a plan now to ease your back to school stress. So take just 15, 20 minutes, 10 minutes even, to reflect this week on what your writing block did or did not do for you this year, and put that somewhere where you'll find it at the beginning of the school year, come August or September or whenever you go back. And that's all I have for you now. So you can either get that download freebie, you can sign up for the Educate and Rejuvenate conference. Remember, the conference is only $5, happening in the middle of July, so you have plenty of time before it starts. And I believe if you buy the $5 ticket, you do still have access to the event. Let's see. I'm reading. I'm not sure. If you get a platinum pass, which is ranging from $47 up to its highest point, $97 right before the event, then you would have till July 1st. Oh, you'd have early access July 1st, and you can replay all through until December 31st. Plus, you get $400 or more in exclusive bonus resources. But if you just get the $5 ticket, I believe you have access throughout the week of the event, which again is July 15th and 16th. $5 is a huge bargain. It is probably less than your Starbucks. And then, of course, I'll link my writing units in the show notes as well, so you can check out all of that. And please stay tuned. I hope to have another new episode for you later this week. Bye for now. If you've loved this show, then join me in sharing the teaching,
hitting that subscribe button,
and leaving us a review on
iTunes,
so we can be found by more teachers like you who are ready to start sharing the workload. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Find new episodes each week on sharedteaching.com. Thanks for listening to the Shared Teaching Podcast.